Hello, welcome back to everyone that's tuned into our channel, American Ultra Stock. Here we are today, introducing to you guys a new feat that we're going to have in the channel, the USMNT Stock Wash. We're just going to be reviewing the players whose stocks went up or down after a weekend of a lot of soccer, football, whatever you want to call it. So, Brayden, just to start off, what's one player that you think who the stock went up and had a good performance this weekend?
Yeah, so this might be cheating a little bit because it wasn't this weekend, but it was midweek, and I'm going to have to go for Johnny Cardoso, who had his best performance in a long time. You could even call it maybe the game of his life. Tuesday, in the second leg of Internacional's Libertadores game against River Plate, he got the assist for, I think, their first goal, scored a crucial penalty that would have sent them out if he didn't make it, and then also got man of the match, and even had Inter fans in the comments apologizing to him because he's gotten a lot of criticism from them this season due to his poor performances. But he really proved them wrong, and hopefully this gives him a little bit of a momentum to maybe fix his season and maybe even get that European move that some people in the media think that he has in it.
Yeah, that's a really good pick. I think it's really unfair that he didn't get to play today against Botafogo, and incredibly, Coudet gave an interview saying that Johnny had a good performance in a more advanced role, which we know it's his most favorite position. He was a striker his entire youth career. But he says that Mauricio is a better central player than Johnny, so Johnny wasn't even on the bench today. I mean, it makes no sense. This guy is a crazy manager. But yeah, that's a really good shout. My player is going to be Haji Wright. I feel like he had really limited time, honestly, and some fans, including myself, we kind of underplayed how good Haji was just because of the league and playing for Antalya Sport, which, I mean, he's not playing at the highest level there. I think Championship's a perfect fit for him. He came on, actually won the ball 3 times, so 3 ball recoveries. That's really impressive for a forward. In one of them, he showed a lot of pace. He has that in his tank, but it doesn't really show it off, and scored a good goal, so I'll pick him. Now, who actually had a bad match and whose stock went down, in your opinion, Brayden?
Yeah, so my first player whose stock went down is not due to performances, but it's his USMNT prospects, and it's going to be Benjamin Kromaski, the youngster from Inter Miami. And it's not like he had a bad game or anything against Charlotte. I mean, he was pretty solid, I think, as he has been the whole Leagues Cup, but Scaloni, the Argentina coach, was at the game, watching him, scouting him for the future, sitting with Messi's family, and Messi himself was actually talking to Kromaski during the game about his future international prospects with Argentina. And like I predicted when Messi came to the MLS, I mean, with Kromaski given this incredible opportunity as an 18-year-old to play with his potential country's best ever player and the best ever player of all time. If Messi tells you to play for Argentina, you play for Argentina. And that's the sacrifice that the U.S. has made to bring Messi to MLS, and I think it's a small price to pay, but it is unfortunate because I do think Kromaski has a lot of talent, and he could definitely help out the U.S., but I think he's going to pick Argentina, so that's why I have his USMNT stock going down.
It's completely fair. Yeah, I'm going to go for a sort of similar situation, if we can call that. I'm going for Dest. It's not necessarily because of the play that he showed, because he didn't play, and Barcelona didn't even actually register him to play any matches. So, I mean, that's the lowest that your stock can go to. So it's a clear message that he needs to find a club. Him and his agent, they can't rely on the prospect that maybe at some point there's going to be an injury and he's going to play there. No, so I'm going for him. Again, 2 players that are not necessarily because of the play that they showed, but the stocks went down nonetheless. So now for a player that I think was really impressive, definitely put his stock way up there compared to my previous assessment of him, which was really quite fair. I rate him as Sargent. I mean, really amazing performance, especially one of the games I could watch entirely. And I felt like he was really direct. And the run, I mean, people are going to say he needs to score that header, but if you watch his movement, he starts the play way back there, and he reads the run, goes to the second post, beats his defender, really good, anticipating. It's time he was in a perfect position. So Josh Sargent for me. What about you, Brayden?
Yeah, so my second player whose stock went up this weekend is going to be Matt Turner. He made his debut for Nottingham Forest after signing for them a couple of days ago, and his Premier League debut as well. Even last year with Arsenal, he didn't play in the Prem. He played a lot in the Europa League and some of the other cups, but never in the Prem. So getting that debut is pretty special for him. And even though he did concede 2 goals and lose the game ultimately, I mean, you got to take it into consideration that it's one of the best teams, not even in the Prem, but in the world that he was going against. Neither of the goals were his fault. The first one was a deflection that he couldn't have gotten to. It was just unlucky. And then the second one was an absolute banger from Saka. Not a lot of keepers are saving that. And Forest fans were pretty happy with him as well. They said he played pretty well. He made a lot of good saves as well. It could have been even more than 2-1. So, yeah, I think it's more to come for Turner. I think he's going to have a really good season this year and cement his spot at number 1, because the only true concerns from fans, and I don't even think they were really valid, but the only concerns about him was he wasn't getting regular game time, and now he will be. So there shouldn't be any doubts about him anymore.
Yeah, what a great first half by Turner. I think he kept them in the game, honestly. And, you know, they got to go back, and you never know. So props to him. It's really fair. Now going to a player that the stock went down. This is really pains me to say because I love this guy. He's a San Diego native, Luca De La Torre. I always watch every game that he plays, and I thought he was really bad. I mean, the stats and the ratings can fool you into thinking that he had an okay game. In my opinion, he was really bad, really passive on the ball, passing it backwards the entire time, only made 1 pass forward. I even checked on the stats because watching, I thought that not even that pass really counts. It was sideways, more sideways than direct. Lost the ball 3 times. So really disappointing match by Luca De La Torre. And the fact that he's not starting, I mean, that's okay. He's sort of in that rotational, not for sure locked in starter role, but good to see, you know, a player that was starting to last season and starts the season on the bench. So I'm going for Luca. What about you?
Yeah, so quickly for Luca De La Torre, Jonathan Bamba, the signing from Lille for Celta Vigo, plays left mid. Luca De La Torre, as we know for the national team, isn't a left mid. He's a center mid, but for some reason, Celta Vigo like to play him out on the left-hand side. I'm not really sure why, but I did predict that he was going to lose his starting spot, and that did happen. And it's just a little unfortunate for such a young player who had a great end of the season last year. And hopefully he can try to convert to a center mid for club, because that's where he plays for us. But going on to my second player, and it's going to be Gabriel Solina. It was a bit unfortunate for him, a bit of a bad situation, making his debut a couple days after signing on loan for Eupen in Belgium. I mean, it was a baptism by fire, I think it's fair to say, conceding 5 goals to one of the best teams in Belgium, Club Brugge. I mean, not all the goals were his fault, but obviously it's not a good look for a goalkeeper or for a defense to be conceding 5 goals in a game. And even though he is 19, I think we do need to keep that in mind. He's very, very, very young for a keeper, but it's potentially one of the worst debuts you could have. So I think his stock went down.
Yeah, it's kind of unfair with Slonina too. Well, it's not unfair. That's life. That's the life of a pro. But I would agree, especially the way that he came out of the goal. It was really unimpressive. It could have been more, honestly. And it wasn't just because of his defense. It was on him too. But that's what's going to happen. He's really young for a goalkeeper. But yeah, definitely went down. But on the other hand, I'm picking a player that, you know, is still really underrated. Check out our top 10 most underrated players by the USMNT poll that don't even get called up. Maloney, I think it was a really good performance. I actually watched half of it, and he was really impressive. The goal was just the cherry on the cake, really. I thought he was really good, playing really well. Played 2 positions throughout the game. Really impressive, and I think Maloney should be at least on the September friendlies against Uzbekistan. I mean, what a good match for a player that it's playing in a world that we don't really have much depth. So I'm picking him as the last player whose stock went up. What about you, Braden?
Yeah, I definitely consider Maloney. I was actually going to put Sargent as my last player, but since you picked him already, I'm going to mix it up a little bit, and I'm going to go for Conrad De La Fuente. It wasn't exactly the greatest start for Eibar to start the La Liga 2 season. They did end up losing 4-0 on match day 1, but Conrad did make his debut, and just the fact that he has a club that's actually willing to give him game time, which hasn't been the case for the past couple of seasons, I think is good. Obviously, we've seen the promise he's had, the talent coming out of La Masia, I mean, the best academy in the world. And his career has just gone downhill since the Marseille move. He had like 1 decent season, but after that, it just fell to pieces. Olympiacos loan wasn't even registered for them. And it's just very important that he has consistent game time now. Coming off the bench already in his debut after being signed earlier in the week, I think shows a lot on how highly they rate him. So hopefully he can take it in stride and continue to push for a starting role and just have a good, consistent season with Eibar.
Yeah, and he looked really good when he came on. Honestly, a really good silky dribbling. You know, I don't mind a player, a winger, especially like Conrad, losing the ball, getting dispossessed twice. If he tries 5 times and get past one at least once and creates a goal, that's good enough. And he was looking lively, so that's good. And it could only go up from here. Now a player that I'm really sad to pick as well, Gooch. I'm having to pick him, especially getting a bench last week and then this week again. And the guy Kieran, who's playing left back, was looking really impressive. Again, the ratings can kind of fool you, but he had a good game, and I think that on the other side, Ballard, their backline looks all right. And I think it's not looking good for Gooch. I really like him. I hope that he gets a call-up. Again, a position that we need depth, but stock went down a little bit, which is unfortunate. He didn't even get a chance to prove himself. What about you, Braden?
Yeah, so on Gooch, I've seen some Sunderland fan pages explain the situation. He actually wasn't even included in the squad for the last couple of match days, and that's because him and a couple of the other veterans are actually on the way out of the club. They're looking to move them on. I'm not really too sure on the reasoning behind this. I mean, he did end last season as their club captain. I mean, their club captain was someone else, but that someone else wasn't playing for them. So when he was on the pitch for the last several games of the season, he was the captain. So to be moving him on early this season, I don't really get it, but that does look to be the situation. Hopefully he can find a club before the end of the window so he can just get back in squads and get back on the pitch. And I do think he's still a player that deserves consideration, even though for his entire career he's been overlooked, which is a bit unfortunate. And so for my last player whose stock went down, I was going to say Dest, but you said him earlier, so I'm going to go for another right back, and it's actually going to be Justin Che. He made the move to Brøndby after looking to get some game time after his U20 World Cup performances, which weren't the worst, I would say, but he was definitely not up there with like Craig, Winder even. So I like that he made a move to try to get first team football. I like that he went to another team in Europe instead of just trying to stay with Dallas. It shows ambition, but unfortunately it doesn't look like it has paid off. He hasn't even been included in the squad, it looks like, for the last several match days. The Danish league started a lot earlier than some of these other main leagues did. I think they just finished match day 3 or 4, I can't remember which, but he hasn't been in the squad for any of them yet, not even on the bench. So it's just unfortunate to see a young player make a gamble with his career and the gamble not pay out. I mean, we've seen with Conrad, hopefully he can turn it around, as Conrad looks to be doing, but yeah, it's not a good start to life with Brøndby for Justin Che.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate to see. You mentioned a young player. Just to end the video, any shout outs, honorable mentions? I'm going to say a young player myself, Matthew Corcoran. I think this kid's special, honestly, for Birmingham Legion. The long ball that he sent through the top that ended up being their goal, really impressive. I'll say him, and I'll say Jedi too, but the guy's consistent. His stock hasn't gone up or down. He's always Mr. Consistent. Any honorable mentions on your side?
Yeah, just one quickly. As you guys know, I'm a Union fan. Jack McGlynn in the game against Querétaro got an assist, kind of. It doesn't technically count as an assist because the goal did end up getting deflected on the shot, so they can't give the assist, but he did have the pass that led to the shot that ended up in the back of the net for the first Union goal. So shout out to him. And also, just a quick shout out, I'm not going to name any players in particular, but the entire U15 team just won the CONCACAF championship. So congrats to them, and just proof that we are the kings of CONCACAF, not only now, but for the future. And hopefully all these players' careers end up looking very good. I mean, we could be having, a lot of people are saying this generation right now is a golden generation. Honestly, I think it's just looking up from here.
Yeah, upwards we go. I think that this is the first good generation, truly good generation, but the future is definitely going to be brighter. All right, but thank you, Braden. Thank you to all of the subscribers that watched this far. We've seen a lot of you guys lately. We know the uploads haven't really been to your taste, but hopefully you enjoy this. Let us know in the comments if you enjoy this type of series, if you'd like for us to do previews for the stock watch. Let us know. We appreciate you guys. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. We'll see you next time.